Hello, welcome back. In this lecture, we're gonna look at arrays in Java. Now, to better explain you arrays, I'm gonna compare it with a primitive integer. So I'm gonna create an integer variable in here. So when we create the variable number, we tell Java to create enough memory to hold an integer variable of 32 bits. Now I can create a variable that's able to refer to a list of integers, and that is array variable. So here I'm gonna write int brackets numbers. So now the difference between these two variables are that this variable right here actually contains the value 10, but this variable right here only refers to a list of integers. So it doesn't hold that list, it only refers to them. So that is why this is called a reference type. So this is a primitive type, while this is a reference type. And the next step here is that I want to allocate some memory to put some integers on. So here I'm going to type the keyword new, integer, and the square brackets that represent arrays in Java. And within them, I can put the number of integers that I want values to refer to. I'll say, for example, 5. So here, the amount of memory that I'm allocating, it's enough to hold 5 integers. So this variable numbers refers to the list of 5 integers. So now you may be wondering, where is the list of integers? So I can refer to the first integer in this list by the variable name, numbers, and open square brackets. And within them I type the number in the list that I want to refer to. And the values are numbers starting at 0. So usually when you number list, you go from 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But in programming, the number listing starts from 0. So it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when you have a list that contains 5 things, the first thing is counted as 0 and the last one is counted as 4. So if we run this program right here, we got 0. Because Java is kind enough to give all the values in your list a default value. But of course you can change that by putting your values in the list. So for example, you can say numbers 0 equals to, for example, 15. So now if we print this, number 0 will get 15. And you still see the original value right here before we changed it. So the same way we can print all of them. So for the moment, only the first number in the list have the value that we have set. So all the others have a default value. And the default value for integers, for example, is 0. But the default value, for example, for strings is null. It's not 0. And the default value for Boolean variables, it's false, and so on. So now we're gonna give them all a value. And we can set values only up to 4, because if we do numbers 5, Java will throw an exception, which we will discuss later on in this course. For now, all you need to know is how to declare and initialize arrays, how to print their default values, and also how to give them a value. Another thing that we're gonna look at this lecture is iterating through arrays. We can do this with a standard for loop, which you've already seen in this course, which have the keyword for. Initialize a variable here, int I equals to 0. So here, basically, I'm gonna say that I want the loop to keep looping until one less than the last value in this array. So in Java, the length of an array can be found in this .length variable. And here, all I have to do is type sysout and say numbers, and I'm gonna put the I in square brackets. Now when I run this, it will iterate through each of the values in my array, as you can see right here. And another thing that I would like to add in this lecture is that instead of going through all these steps, you could also do something like this. I'm gonna open curly brackets and say 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. So what we did right here is declare and initialize the array in the same line. So instead of allocating the memory first and then initializing each and every number in the list, you could also do something like this. So that's it for this lecture. And if this seems a lot of information, don't worry, we're gonna mention arrays various times throughout this course, so I'm sure you will gradually understand it. So stay tuned for the next lectures. See you there.